Hello, welcome to this episode of Stick to Football, brought to you by SkyBet.
Oh, you can do it in his accent?
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it in his accent. Where's the stuff that Gary has? There's his notes and stuff. Where's his cards? What am I
We all
doing?
swapping seats.
Wow, this seat's weird.
Oh, Wright, the hostess with the mostess.
At the moment,
Because he's got the best gig.
let's just see how much money I gave me for
Where's
this.
his jumper?
Can't believe how much Gary gets for this gig.
What's happening? It's an assault on my. I think it's a takeover.
It's a hard takeover. That's what it is.
I feel like my chi's out.
This chair's really.
You what?
My chi. Like when I move chairs and like, oh.
You like hoodies, don't you? Do you like hoodies?
I like hoodies. You don't like hoodies?
But you're getting to the age now where, you know, you got to be careful. Hoodies, you know what I mean?
Why?
You get a bit older, hoodies.
Yeah, I agree.
Am I right? Thanks.
Yeah.
I haven't got them.
No, it's a bit like... How old are you? How old are you, 50? 49?
49.
Yeah.
No, go.
What are you going to do for your 50th?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
I look
You're
good
gonna
for
invite
it.
us?
Is the,
Thank you.
when are you
Yeah,
50
big,
then?
Big bash.
Eh?
How old are you? 49 now, when's your
49.
birthday?
February next year. You're all invited.
What are you going to do?
Me
That's one of them, you got to plan early.
Go, plan it early and go big, bro. Go big.
big?
It's 50, man.
Is
Go
Tom Cruise
big.
coming?
Just us. Us and Beckham.
Are you? What are you? Did you have a 50th?
Yeah, I didn't have a 60th.
A big bash?
I could not
okay.
believe
No,
you're
the fif-
60.
What was your 50th
look
like?
so
Was it any
good.
good?
You're such a dick.
Such a dick.
What are you doing? What is it, a big do?
I think he's on his
excited
period
yet,
this
really.
week.
I think I might have a series of events.
Oh.
Like a bit of...
I like
Oh, you've got different sets of people, haven't you? Your hotel people.
that,
dead
right?
right.
The people
So
who go
I'm not
skiing
doing that
out,
one, yeah? I'll do that
stick
after.
to football.
You've changed.
No, I think I might have one... I don't know. Honestly, I literally haven't thought about it,
Okay.
actually.
Do you know
My
what,
50th, I had
actually?
big plans for my 50th. I really did. I thought, I'm definitely do something for my 50th. Ended up in Pizza Express. Honestly.
Why?
Arguing with someone.
You know what's mad?
Family.
Because he threatened Teresa that if she organised a surprise party for us.
Yeah, but I thought it might surprise me with something.
Yeah.
Is that my one? Thank
I
you.
do like caramel and toffee, like as in the taste of it.
Do you like popcorn at the movies? Sorry, right, he's getting in the zone.
No, that's not-
Concentrating.
Sorry, 1 second, Roy.
Sorry.
I think I might go put a t-shirt on. I'm too warm in this hoodie.
Oh, he's getting nervous because it's all on him.
Put Wrighty's tongue
I'm going to put a t-shirt on.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a t-shirt on.
Do you see any good movies? Do you like going to the pictures? Do you like
I love
popcorn, the
going
whole
to,
package?
I do like going to the
It
pictures.
does switch us off, but it's the thought of going. It's like
But is there any
pain
good
in the
movies out
arse.
at the moment? Have you seen anything?
You know what's I
film's
watched
lost
that
their
June
appeal
2.
now.
I watched the June 2 because I'm massive into sci-fi. You know the June.
Yeah?
They're good.
I love it. Yeah, I do love it. But there's more to come.
Do you know what
That's
I
why I
watched
go
last
back
night?
to old. That's why I go back to old school because like that's why I say I just watch old
Is
school.
everyone
Like, you
in
know
this-
what I watched the other day again? What really done me? Toy Story 3.
Toy Story is the best kids.
Toy
movie.
Story 3 when they all sit on that step when he's going to college.
You could be a voiceover for something like that.
He could be an actor,
Your voice.
couldn't he?
Look.
Really good.
And then I've heard that there's going to be Toy Story 5 where he's looking for them for his kids.
Oh.
I can't, I'm finished. I'm going to cry now.
Oh, that is cute.
That is good, isn't it?
Honestly. That's
Toy
what I'm
Story
saying,
is the
the new
number one.
films at the minute.
You have got a big
Shrek.
part.
You like Shrek? Shrek's funny.
Yes, Shrek was
is
good. I just
awesome.
think Toy Story was just a level
Yeah,
above
nailed
that.
him.
No, but Shrek Forever, it's layered, isn't it? You get a message, your kids get a message. It's brilliant. I loved the Shrek when the Pied Piper turned it onto Ogre and then they couldn't stop dancing. It's just like, and the song, what did
I used to be like that after a bottle of Bacardi.
And the songs they use some good funky songs. It's like the same with like Sing. My girls are like singing Bowie songs.
Have you seen Kin?
Singing
Oh, yeah,
Elton John songs.
Oh, my God.
It's good, isn't
I
it?
love Kin.
I love Kin. I need
I
the
love
next
Kin.
series.
I haven't seen
Is
it.
it,
Irish.
is it as good as Peaky
Yeah.
Blinders?
Girl, you have to go out.
Good.
I've never
Have you
watched
seen
Peaky
it?
Blinders.
What's that? Have you not
I've seen
it?
one or two bits.
Oh, it's brilliant,
I haven't
honestly.
seen Piggy Blinders.
Go out and come in again.
Yeah.
So we've got to keep this in anyway, aren't we?
Right. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Stick to Football. I'm Ian Wright. And, no, I'm not Ian Wright.
You're doing it in Gary Neville's voice.
Why am I doing it in Gary Neville's voice? Hello and welcome to Stick to Football, brought to you by SkyBet. Am I going too fast? I'd like to do it so I can get into the vibe of presenting.
At the end of the game, I had to shake his hand. He walked straight past me, and I thought, he's almost like saying, "Go on, little boy." He used to walk in. He used to say, "Who motivates the motivator?" Do you know the rope?
Yeah.
The rope. The premise being, if your left back moves out towards his right winger,
you come across.
and we were literally on rope in training.
Yeah. How do you look back on the England career?
I probably let myself down a little bit in the book where I called it a waste of time. I'd been asked to go to Middlesbrough for an interview. Newcastle had asked to speak to me. Derby, I think, had asked to speak to me. I said no to everyone because it wasn't what I wanted to be. There's a point I remember looking in my mirror in the morning thinking I look ill. The 4-0 up and he didn't sub Neymar, Messi or Suarez. Dan Ashworth rang me and said, this is the perfect move for you to be on that next step for when Roy decides that he doesn't want to be here to take over.
Oh, look at that. Yes, Gal. Free, Gal. Don't stop, Gal. Oh. Hello and welcome to Stick to Football, brought to you by SkyBet. I'm Ian Wright, and today we're going to be turning the tables. So, in fact, let me go in and tell you who our guest is, okay?
Like John Barnes on Channel 5 here.
8 Premier Leagues, 2 Champions Leagues, 3 FA Cups, 2 League Cups, 1 Club World Cup, 85 England caps, 602 Manchester United appearances, 7 goals. Manchester United captain between 2005 and 2011. We have to welcome Mr. Gary Neville. Come in, Gary.
Yes.
Look at Gary. Look at his face. Look at his
Guest got to build up like that.
He looks scared.
Why am
Gal.
I nervous all of a sudden? I don't
Why are you
like
nervous,
it.
Gal? You know what, Gal? You actually, because you're on that side and you're in a situation where I've not seen you being interviewed too many times or spoken about yourself too many times. I could see it in your face that there's a nervousness to you.
Well, it was, we obviously got let down by a guest, didn't we?
Who was it?
Go on, name names.
No.
Come on, let's think.
We don't throw people under the bus. But Roy then came up with the suggestion of having one of us as the guest, and I thought that was you volunteering. I thought you talk about accountability, responsibility.
Take our
You
turns,
bottled
wasn't it?
No, Gal, because like
Do it
what
in a
you
couple of
do,
weeks.
because Gal is so self-deprecating about himself.
Exactly.
You know, he's somebody that, I remember, like, as a right back, Gal, easily one of the best that I played against, one of the best I've seen. Your attitude, the way you played, everything you've done, underrated. And like when people talk about you and your football, you always bring it down. Where's that come from? Where's it come from?
I find it easier that way. It's just easier to sort of say, because what if I said, I'm the best right back in Premier League history, or I'm one of the best right, how's that going to go down with a...
Well, you wouldn't have to go that far. Would you?
you wouldn't.
You're right, Roy.
You know what I mean? You'd never say anything like that.
But you know what I mean? It's like people say, you know, where do you rank yourself? And I don't know.
So when I read out everything that
I'm
you've
content.
achieved there,
I'm content, Ian, with everything that I did, and I don't feel I need to sort of, if you like, play it up in any way, shape, or
Yeah, but don't play it down either.
Yes, exactly.
Don't play
You
it down.
play it
That's
down
the
for
point.
him.
And that's just, but he doesn't have to keep. He does it all the time. He shouldn't do that. You deserve better.
Where's the playing down come from, Gal? Is it the parent? Why do you play it down when you've worked so hard to get there and doing so great? You've done
I
brilliantly.
think it's because a lot of people would probably say, I played with Rio Ferdinand or Jaap Stam here, I had Roy Keane or Paul Scholes there, I had Beckham, Kanchelskis or Ronaldo in front of me. And a lot of people say, anyone could have played there. You know, a lot of people do. So I sort of play along to the actual crowd a little bit with that idea that anyone could have played in the position I played in because I had such unbelievable players around me. That's the problem.
No, but you would have had good... When you were younger, United, Eric and all these people, they would have made you... They would have tried to, you know, obviously your family would have made you stay humble as well, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They would have hated for you to, at any stage, to think you are a player and you have made it, because we know what happens then.
Is that your upbringing almost? Is it your dad? Is it a Manchester thing where you can't be seen to be making out that you're bigger or
To be fair,
big-headed?
all the people in my life who I would say were in influential positions were people who basically always said never get carried away, whether that be the boss, whether it be my dad, whether it be Roy in the dressing room. You were never able to shift an inch in terms of get carried away. It was almost like as soon as you started, you'd just be brought back down straight away. So I think it's just the idea of, that idea of always being around people who, to be fair, were quite hard, I think. I think I think my dad, the boss, maybe you, maybe influential people, even like, say, Stuart Pearce with England, they were quite, not fearful characters, but they were characters who were sort of like,
Strict discipline.
yeah, strict, quite strict, I would say. And strict's the word, because they were strict, and there was an element of, you better watch yourself here, because you get a clip round the ear. Not mean a clip round the ear physically, but you get pulled back. You know what I mean? You get.
But you must look back now, you're a bit older, Nev, and think, whatever your family, brilliant sporting achievements, but it's also fine to sit back and go,
I did it.
Yeah.
I done all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, to be honest with you, if I get asked now and I think about it, to actually live in that environment and be there and survive, I suppose, in some ways for 21 years, which is, how long was it United for? From 16 to 20 years. But then obviously 5 years as a youth player as well. I do think that was an achievement because I do genuinely think they didn't carry passengers. And he would have got rid of me, or the players would have found me out, or something in that 20 years. You wouldn't have been able to survive.
You make the point that you were surrounded by good players, but you wouldn't. Only players around you can only do so much for you. As you said, survival is part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
For being at the top for so long.
Do you think that fear kept you going? That fear of, because you're almost talking about, I've had all these, you're a great player, but you're looking at these other players as great players. Were you always fearful of, I'm not quite at their level, so I've got to, when you were speaking about the way your preparation, the way you looked after yourself, did you always feel like you had a fear that you could be moved on from Manchester United?
To be honest with you now, if you talked about a sort of position in your life that was influencing you with fear, you'd say, be very careful because it would be bullying. Or it would be seen very differently. But I think I don't think I would have been anywhere near where I was without being driven by, Eric Harrison, I forgot to mention there, by the way, he was tough, wasn't he? He was tough, you know what I mean, like as a youth team coach. And Nobby Stiles, you couldn't lose a tackle. That was like forbidden. You know what I mean? If you misplaced a pass, if I didn't throw it forward into a striker's feet for Old Trafford on a Saturday and I threw it back my first throw-in, I was getting killed. So this idea, you always had these sort of voices sort of around you that were...
Great messages, don't they?
They'd step on you every single move. There was nowhere to go in terms of sort of dropping in standard or dropping in work ethic or anything like that.
You talk about, you talk about, and obviously I got to know you a lot now since we've stopped playing, and you don't stop talking. You know what I mean? You give a strong opinion, that's why you're great on TV. But when I hear you talk about when you first get in the United team, you talk about Roy giving you a bollocking, or you talk about the boss. You've just mentioned before about Steve Bruce. You said Peter Schmeichel was hard with you. Did you not say nothing back? Because when I know you now, no, when I hear you speak about when you were a young lad coming into the team, it surprises me that you didn't go back at people.
No, I think to be fair, I genuinely think that I'm respectful of sort of like the elder position and the senior position. I genuinely believe that. And I think, so I was youth team captain. I was foreman in the dressing room, which meant that you had to report into Eric Harrison all the jobs we'd done on a sort of thing. I was captain of the reserve team. So I wasn't as if I wasn't a leader. I was actually sort of doing the roles at my level as a leader. But when you went into the first team dressing room, I felt as though I had to build that trust and that respectability to become... I was subservient. I was I was literally like, right, okay, you're at the bottom again.
Right.
I can't go in there and start shouting mouthful, because to be fair, they'll just... And none of us did. So Scholesy, Butty, Bex, Giggsy, all of us...
Did you ever fall out of anyone in there? Did you fall out of anyone?
No, just something. I was always, to be fair, my view was that I couldn't ever survive whereby I didn't think that, and I know others did in the dressing room, and Roy, you had maybe one or two situations, and Peter did, or Teddy and Cole did. I could never survive walking into a dressing room thinking that I wasn't speaking to someone. I couldn't survive. Did
you ever bust up with Ray one day? Was that you? Or
Raymond?
Phil?
Yeah, Raymond, and with Rude, obviously.
Right.
Rude Van Nistelrooy.
Well, Ray, did it not get physical once?
Yeah, but do you know something? I would always deal with it. The one time at Coventry where I've talked about with you, in my mind on that Sunday, said, I'm going speaking to you tomorrow morning. I would confront it. I wouldn't let that sort of, if you like, move on for like a period of time.
But go on.
I would always say from when I was in the dressing room, and then as I got older and more confident, you sort of start then to... I was always vocal on the pitch. Right. I'd be vocal on the pitch. I'd give loads of information to my centre-back and to my right winger. Yeah. I'd never shut up on the... I'd make sure that there was loads of information, but... In terms of obviously like standing up to people, Schmeichel, to be fair, was brutal with me in the early days in training. And he told me one Christmas do, he said to me, I thought you were a risk. He said, Paul Parker was an amazing defender with a great back four. You were the first person to break into that back four. And I saw you as a risk thinking that I didn't think you'd be good enough. And I thought that we would sort of cause, we'd have problems. He told me that at Christmas do.
But we all felt that.
In 98, he told me 3 years after I broke in, and he shook me out. But there was almost like, with you were like that, Incy was like that, the boss was like that. There was almost like an initiation of like, Eric Harrison said to me, after 10 games in the first team, 17 games in the first team, and I was picked for England after 17 games, he literally came to me and said to me, you're not a Manchester United player till you've played 100 matches. He said, you need 3 seasons.
Right.
And that was the message at the club. You literally had to build almost like a 3-season sort of like bank of games.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you might get accepted. And then they might think, okay, he's done a little bit here. And you might then start to grow a little bit. You'd never be a leader. Giggsy, so quiet, wasn't he, at 17, even 23, 24. Yeah. Scholesy, Butty, all of us. We were mice, really, for the first 4 or 5 years in the dressing room. But then, obviously, as we got more confident, then we'd...
Yeah. But that worked for you, though, do you not think? Like, that did
Phil was the
work,
loudest.
Yeah.
I think Phil was probably the one that... I remember
Was he quiet? Roy, you say he was quiet. Was
Gary?
In the early days. Yeah. In the early days, I was.
So how comes Phil's the...
Phil used to walk in... Phil used to make me laugh, Phil, actually. He used to walk in and he used to say, fucking hell, lads, who motivates the motivator? He used to say that. You know what I mean? It's like, lads, you know what I mean? You'd be sub maybe on the Saturday or something. Lads, who motivates the fucking motivator?
I can imagine him saying that.
Yeah, but the beauty, right, when they came across, well, as you've all done, players come across sometimes and train with the first team, a couple of lads, and then you just know they'll be gone and you'll never get, and that's what happens. Right. Players come up. Yeah. But even when Nev and them came across, and obviously they were brilliant players, and you're on about the stick you were getting, because there's also that element of, we knew they could take, you know what I mean? It's always a fine line, of course, because players can go, everyone was too hard on me, but the credit what I would give the lads who came across, when they come, I was like, these are here to stay.
Yeah.
They're not going back and coming.
Did you feel that with Gavin?
Yeah, with all of them.
Yeah.
No, with all of them. As soon as they came across, when you're talking about 4 or 5 players, obviously Giggsy was already head of the group, you're looking, these are here to stay. Yeah. And all really, honestly, we go back to great lads. But that's important, I go back, I can only talk about my own experiences, but when the players came across, they were no doubt talented, because they wouldn't have been at United, but they had great habits and great traits from the people who were working with Eric, the youth team stuff about the responsibility to play for Man United.
When you see him so self-deprecating, does he annoy you because he's not bigging himself up?
A little bit. No, I get it sometimes. You got to get the balance right, and stay humble and not get carried away, but also don't be too hard on yourself, because again, if you reflect on Gary's career and you just read out what he's won, then it's amazing, and take credit for that.
When I first went into the first team dressing room, I remember the first 6 months. You got to remember the dressing room I went into had Pallister, Bruce, Cantona, Hughes, Ince, Roy, all them. Honestly, I used to go in there, get changed. There was me, Scholesy, and Butty got in first. Bex was delayed. Bex was a year later than us. Giggsy was already in there. And I remember I used to walk back into my own dressing room after I got. I just didn't. I felt, oh my, this is like massively overwhelming in terms of just the presence of people. Because a lot of these people, Mark Hughes, by the way, Mark Hughes was my hero. Brian Robson was like still at the club when I made my Premier League debut. See, these people.
And it was tiny, the dressing room.
Small.
You're literally on top
I'm glad you said dressing room.
And then now I'm even getting goosebumps thinking about me in there, thinking, actually, it scares me to death, this a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Even though in the youth team in reserves, I was captain. So I go back into the actual youth team dressing room. I get changed, go back into the youth team dressing room. Bex would be in there, Phil would be in there, the other lads would be in there. Ben Thornley, Keith Gillespie, them sort of lads. I felt like I didn't belong.
So you had the imposter syndrome. You didn't believe you should be in there.
Wow.
And did that also not ever transfer onto the pitch in those first sort of 5 or 10 games?
No, I don't think it did. I felt like I was on trial for the first probably like 25, 30 games. I always remember in the first season, it was the year we lost the league to Blackburn, and that's when I played, I think, 25 games, 30 games, something like that. And what he would do, he'd pop me in, get me out. Pop me in, get me out. He'd play Sharpie at left back, or he'd play Roy at right back in, say, Liverpool away or something like that. And it got to a semi-final of the FA Cup against Villa Park against Crystal Palace. And he come and saw me like in the week. He said, right, I'm putting you in. And I thought, I felt like it was a moment, you know what I mean? And I've never been as nervous. He put Bex in as well, both of us together for the first time, I think, in terms of a big game. I think it's the first big game we played together. I think he was more nervous than me. And I remember thinking, almost like this is the sort of like a massive test.
Right.
So you felt everything was a test. You felt like every day was a bit of a test until you got comfortable and it was like 25, 26. You know, you win the treble at 24. Out of that, you then think, right, okay, I'm established now. I've played 5 years. But it took that first 3 or 4 years of like, it felt like it was it was like a test, a massive exam.
It's interesting that because when you no one would look back at your career and think about that game, but you all have games, don't you, when you play and you go into it. And most people, even if I'm a Man United fan, because you're playing Palace, you'd expect to win. They're not saying, oh my God, Gary Neville's at right back. But for you, your family, you'd have passed that message on to your dad. He'd have been there with his mates thinking, oh my God, I hope everything goes all right.
I'd been to watch United in the 83 and 85 FA Cup semi-finals at Villa Park. So for me to play in that game, like you talk about the FA Cup, how the history of it and the sort of magnitude of it, It was massive. So for us to play in the semi-final at Villa Park was like, that was monumental. That was like huge, and it was a massive big step that in terms of coming through. Playing against John Solarco. Yeah. John Solarco was left wing, a good winger, you know what I mean? And did quite well in the first game. We actually drew, I think, 3-3.
Yeah. Was it 2-2?
2-2 or 3-3. It was like a tough game. We could have gone out. And then obviously second game, we get through. That's the one that you got sent off in. But we won the game, and then you think, right, okay. And then where I felt I really belonged was when he picked me at Wembley in the final. To be fair, I played first half at right back, and then I don't know who went off at half time.
Steve Bruce
went off at half time. I played centre back second half.
Well, you went right back.
Did I? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went centre back second half. So
That's
I played.
quite a big change as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a final.
And so that game I played.
Everton 1-0.
You got. I've only got in the team.
Sure, you went right back. Did Nicky Buck?
Nicky Buck came on, yeah.
I don't remember going right back.
Your sister, obviously, Tracey, very successful, netball, MBE. Phil, very successful. What's it like in the house? Because you obviously, when you got to the training ground, you went back to where the safety. When you got back to the house, talking to your siblings who are very successful as well. So what was it like? What was the chat like?
My sister, to be honest with you...
Was it competitive, Gal?
I can see why my sister is the best coach in terms of how she is. Her mentality is unbelievable. Like, literally unbelievable, my sister. She's like... She's ferocious. She's known as being ferocious with her players in terms of the demands she puts on them. Like, literally non-negotiables are, you know... I can't imagine how it would be in football, trying to think of an example, but she would literally have... Whereas I'd be like, sort of like, look, come, we can work with it a little bit. I might sort of... She's just straight down the line. Right. And that's why I think she's probably been the most successful. Phil, to be fair to him, I don't think anybody's ever worked as hard or thought more about football than Phil. He's got an unbelievable work ethic. And you talk about even now, he'll do 10K runs every day. He'll eat the right things every day. He's continued his sort of his football career into his post-football career.
He needs to chill out.
It's never ending.
Never. Yeah.
It's never ending for Phil, I don't think, in terms of his professionalism.
Where does that come from? Because the drive, obviously, you took it. Your sister's very ferocious, Phil's very driven, yourself.
I do genuinely think that it's that... I can't remember who it was that said it to me. He said, you've got a choice every single day. Like, wake up and do the very best that you can and never give in, or don't. And you have that choice every single day. And I think literally every single day we just saw it as being, right, got to do the very best that we can today. Like, get up. This morning, like, I'm up at 5. I'm at the gym at 6 in Salford. Training till 6:45, go back, have a shower, see the kids for an hour, then I come go to hotel football, see the team, then I come here. You know, that mentality every day of just like...
Does it come from your mum, your dad? Where's it come from, girl?
I think it's my mum. I think it's more my mum. My dad was a lorry driver, so I got up early in the morning. Right. So that was like 4 or 5 o'clock. But my mum's still playing netball now at 74.
Wow.
Every week.
That's amazing.
Every week, 74, and she doesn't miss. And then she doesn't miss my daughter's game. She's been over in Australia for a month with my sister because she's overcoached. She's like non-stop, my mum. I think it genuinely is my mum, to be fair.
Yeah. What would happen if, say, like, you had a plan in your head of going to the gym and you didn't do it that day?
It's not a good place, that, Jill.
Yeah.
It's like the Nando's on a Tuesday night.
No, but I can see that with you.
It's not good. Jill, so this week, I'm going to the gym. Yesterday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Friday, I'm going 6 o'clock, and Saturday's 8:30. So Saturday's 8:30. I will do that.
Yeah.
That's what I've programmed myself to do. That's what I will do. I know everything else around it. I'm going to get a 7 o'clock car on Sunday morning. I know exactly what's happening every minute of my... I literally plan the whole week and know what I'm doing.
Your wife must be very understanding. but seriously, she must be, because there's got to be an element of selfishness to that lifestyle in a way, like, I'm doing this and I'm not going to budge for kind of anyone.
Like a mini retirement. Do you ever think of having any retirements and holidays?
But that's the thing, to be fair. I do
have your breaks, though, don't you?
I've got better at that, to be fair. I think every 5 or 6 weeks I try and have 3 or 4 days if I can, just completely like...
Yeah.
And actually, it's like think of like a goal, almost like, right, I'm going to run as hard as I can for 5-6 weeks. I know what my 5-6 weeks look like, and I've got the half term in May, which is like May 24th, 25th, around that time. That last week, I know I'm going away there. So I'm already thinking, right, that's my rest.
Yeah. Can you switch off, Gal, when you're in that, because you go so hard? 4 days? Maybe
I do
5?
switch off. I do switch, but I also will go to the gym in the morning when I'm on holiday, and I'll still do some of the things that you know what I mean? So basically 4 till 6, I'll still look at my emails and do some work. In the morning, I'll still go to the gym, and in between that, I'll relax.
Wow.
I don't know what it is. It's like an itinerary. To be fair, my family, I don't know if anyone else like that. Like,
I'm a little bit like that.
Oh, yeah.
Think of it, their life's an itinerary, almost like you live to that sort of knowing what you do.
I think what you do now, you know, your phone, and you've got like your calendar.
Yeah, calendar.
What did you do before that? 'Cause I'll go like if I'm bored, I'll just look at my calendar like a month ahead. It's almost like, right, I'm doing that, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. What if something doesn't go right?
He always makes me laugh when he says, like, so someone will say to him, come round for a cup of tea, and he'll think, right, okay, I'll meet in a couple of hours, and they'll say, like, 2 weeks on Thursday. I'm thinking, now
you did that to me.
So
I was like, oh, why don't you all come to the coffee shop? And you're like, I've
Friday,
got
11 o'clock.
Friday, the 26th of May at 11 o'clock. I was like...
And you went, I'm away then. I'm like...
Every time people speak about you, they always talk about that cricket, your cricket.
Yeah.
How old was you when you was like playing cricket? Because they say you could play for England or could.
No, I don't think I could. My brother definitely could. So I was a batter that bowled a little bit, but I basically was still playing cricket in the summer when I was at United, 16 to 18, and then I basically Matthew Hayden, who's a famous Australian opening batter. I got in a partnership with him in a semi-final of the Hamer Cup in the Bolton League, and I think the partnership was like 220. We got 100 each, and there's a picture of us both with holding that. But it went in the Manchester Evening News, and Eric Harrison found out. I just didn't think anything of it. I was just still playing cricket. Eric Harrison found out and said, "What are you fucking doing? You're still playing?" And literally, that was the last game of cricket I ever played.
Wow.
But strange enough, when you were coming through with Phil, the stuff at United was that Phil is a lot more talented than you, and that's what they said.
Though, at the time.
Phil had a lot more talent than Gary, but Gary would certainly... You'd hang your hat more on Gary to have a really good, solid career because of all that professionalism and being on time for training. Obviously, you were captain of the youth team. But they were more saying Phil certainly had a lot more talent in you. Isn't that right?
Do you know, Roy, that people don't probably remember this in terms of Phil. So Phil was a better football player than me and a better cricketer than me, fact. And he was stronger than me, he was quicker than me, he was two-footed, left and right foot. And Phil got into the team. So the 95 final, we lost. In the 96 final against Liverpool, Phil started that final. Against Liverpool, the one where Cantona scores the goal. Right, he started that game. He was unbelievable, absolutely brilliant. Phil got glandular fever, right, and I don't know if you remember at the time. People don't remember this. He got glandular fever for about 6 months, and we didn't play for 3 or 4 or 5 months, and he literally was just knocked out, and he lost a lot of strength, I think, and power. And Phil had legs that were like mine, that was really strong and sort of quite stocky. If you look at him in his early days, and then what happened? He had the glandular fever. And he lost quite a bit of his strength, I think, at that point. And I just sort of like came back into it and came ahead. And that just knocked Phil a little bit, I think. He never really sort of like, from that point, he did recover because he had an unbelievable career, but just, he was ahead of me, absolutely.
He was under 16, he went England under 16.
England under 16s, England under 15s, cricket under 15s.
Was you in England as well?
No,
did you get in?
No, I didn't get in the Greater Manchester county team under 15s.
Wow.
How did you take that, girl, how did you take that at the time?
To be fair, Scholesy and Butty were in there, and other lads that I'd played with at United. I was at United from 11, so United sort of believed in me, I felt. Kiddo was really good with me, and, the other coaches, but I was not in the sort of, what were the representative teams, they called them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the Greater Manchester teams, or the north of England or England. I was never anywhere near that. I was never even considered.
Wow.
And I was sub for the Greater Manchester County, couldn't get in the team.
Does that make you
maybe
more
that helped
proud?
you? Did that help you drive on a bit more, maybe?
Does that because you just said about Phil, and you've said you've been underrated. I always ask this question about like players who you've got the absolute maximum out of your career.
Yeah.
Does that make you more proud than the fact that there might have been other players maybe who had more talent but didn't achieve what you did, and you got the absolute maximum out of it?
But do you know something? I don't think any of the players that I played with at United that got into the first team, I don't think any of them were less than the maximum out of their careers. I don't think I was unique in that at United. I think, you even at Liverpool, all your career, Wright, you think about what you extracted, Jill, I think all of us around this table, I think most football players are in that position where they extract the maximum out of their career.
I don't think everyone is. I don't think everyone fulfills.
Do you think like Hazard? Like he could...
No, but I just think and listen, sometimes it's a team game, sometimes the club you're at, the manager, you need a little bit of luck, don't get me wrong, but if you're talking about someone who doesn't get in the Greater Manchester team, and then you go from there, basically 10 years later, you're rated as one of, if not the best right back in Premier League history and win all that. That is. Do you know what I think? That jump is absolutely massive.
Do you know where I think I was probably ahead of maybe other players. Work ethic obviously was like maximum, but I actually thought I learnt my position. So I think I knew my position really well. I think I knew back four play quite well. I think I knew organisation. So I knew where Becks needed to be. I knew that sort of I knew there was a danger. If I could anticipate danger, if someone was going to run inside me and Rio as an example, Rio is, I think I knew the game pretty well enough to be able to communicate the game on the pitch in my position. So I think I knew my position. I always remember Nobby Stiles and Eric Harrison. And I think Tony and Baldy and I think Lee and Nigel did this at Arsenal at times. Do you know the rope? The rope. So the others on rope. And basically back four would be on rope. And obviously the premise being, if your left back moves out towards his right winger,
you come across.
You all come across. And we were literally on rope in training. And that just, the idea of those sort of simple things. And then I think I've just thought of another thing with Don Howe. Do you know the one at the back post when the ball's over there? And that one. Don Howe used to stand on the, used to have two people on the sort of centre circle, on the edge of the halfway line, and used to put a different colour bib up. So basically, if you're ball watching as a defender, let's say you're a right back and the ball's coming in from that side, you needed to know what colour that bib was over there all the time. If you changed it, red. Red. So that player running in there or running inside, you always had an awareness. So that was unbelievable. And then the other thing was Eric Harrison used to make us go to Old Trafford on a Saturday as youth team players and watch the player. He said, forget the ball. I want you to watch the player in your position at all parts during the game. So I spent like 2 years watching Paul Parker, who's an amazing defender, with Brucey on that right-hand side of the defence. I used to watch what they were doing all the game. And he'd ask you questions about it on the Monday morning. So you're talking about those sort of like, you think about going to a game now as a 17-year-old, did they watch the game or did they learn from the game? You can look, but you can't see sometimes. I think he made us see what was going on, like in terms of like just them principles. I had unbelievable like advice around me on my position and stuff like that.
So you mentioned like, so you got into England after 17 games? So that would have definitely helped watching that much football, watching that.
So Terry Venables, it's actually, I played in the cup final against Everton. We lost, and I went to an under-19s tournament on the Monday. Eric said, "You're coming with us." Blue Stars tournament in Zurich. He said, "You're coming with us. I don't care. You're playing for the first team. You're coming with us." And the boss made me go. I wanted to go as well. It was with the lads that I was playing with. So Ben was still going. Bex went. There wasn't like you spot getting carried away. You're playing in a cup final on a Saturday. On the Monday, we were on a flight to Zurich to play in a tournament for 5 days.
Under 19 as well.
Against Bayern Munich, Barcelona, all the best clubs in Europe. I don't know if you know the tournament. But United played in it for years. And I was there, and Eric Harrison, we went out for a walk to this pool club. I don't know what happened. Someone came down the street and said, "Eric wants a word with you back in the hotel." So I went back to the hotel. He said, "I've just had a call from the club. You've been selected for England to play in the Umbro Cup," which was a tournament the year before Euro 96. And I'm like, I'd only played 17 times, 18 times for United. I'm like, right, okay. And anyway, I flew back that night, I think. I couldn't play in the tournament.
When you told everybody, what did everybody say when you told them?
I was embarrassed, actually. I was a bit like, I felt like, you're a bit like big time.
Yeah.
Because all the lads that were there, I didn't feel like, I didn't go and tell them. I just sort of think I had a word with one or two of them and said, "Look, I'm going to have to go."
So did you fly there, have that meeting, then fly back?
No, so I flew back to we met up in Leeds. We were playing against, I can't remember who we met.
Sweden.
We played Japan, Sweden and Brazil.
Yeah.
So I met Terry Venables. He said to me, "Look, I'm going to play you against Japan." In the first game I played, again, that first game against Japan, we conceded a goal from a corner. And at the end of the game, it was a new team. Colin Cooper played, David Unsworth. There was like loads of new players because I think players had pulled out. And at the end, we went into the dressing room after the game, and it's the first time I'd ever come across Don Howe.
Yeah.
And basically, Terry Venables went, "Oh, lads, really proud of you, well done." He went, Terry, stop there. He said, "I'm not proud of him." And he started going on this massive rant about conceding a goal from a set piece. And it always stuck with me, that one that he'd cut across Terry and that Terry was happy for him to do so. But the fact of, again, you think about standards, I'm not happy. You know, he's done set pieces with us on the training pitch in the morning. We've conceded from a corner. And I always remember that. Anyway, Terry said, "Look, you'll play in the first game, but Warren Barton's here. He'll play against Sweden and then he'll play against Brazil, but I want you to get some experience." Anyway, they played against Sweden at Ellen Road on the Thursday night, or Wednesday or Thursday night, and it didn't go it wasn't a good performance.
It was 3-3 though.
Yeah, it didn't go very well. Anyway, he said to me, "I've changed your mind. You're playing against Brazil on Saturday." And that was, Roberto Carlos was left back, Ronaldo was up front, and literally my second game was like oh my God, it was like an eye-opener, you know what I mean?
How'd you look back on the England career for yourself? What do you think?
I probably let myself down a little bit in the book where I called it a waste of time, because at the end of a United career, when you think...
Well, what was you feeling at the time to say that? Why would you say that?
Do you know what I was thinking about? It was, I suppose in some way it might be a little bit of arrogance of thinking that everything's about winning, which it is. And at United, everything was about winning.
Yeah.
You didn't win, you were dead, basically. I mean, that was just it. Just the mentality of the club with the boss and everybody else in the changing room. So then you think, well, you don't win something, and you've been called the golden generation, and then you go and let people down in tournaments after tournaments. I've been to 5 tournaments as a player. 5 tournaments I went to as a player, 3 Euros, 2 World Cups. And we just let people down. We let the country down. Every time we got knocked out of a tournament, apart from Euro 96, which I think was half accepted, every other was a letdown. So it was almost like you feel like it's a waste of time. We've not achieved. We've not done what we said we were going to do. We've not gone on, and that's probably probably wrong that in some ways, because I actually loved playing for England.
How did you take the defeats? Did you take them personally, Gal?
With England?
Yeah.
I don't know if...
Was you always measuring it up against United?
Maybe wondering why it wasn't the same at times. Maybe wondering why we didn't get over the line. Sometimes it was obvious, but then sometimes why couldn't... the thing that still to this day, why could we not win on penalties? Why could we not get through against Germany in the Euros? Why could we not get through against Portugal in 2004 and 6? Why? And I look back now, I never said this probably. I never took a penalty in my life, ever. And I was not a goal scorer, I scored 7 goals. But I look back now and think, because I was experienced and I was seen as a senior player in the team or captain at United, why did I not take a penalty? I even think that sometimes.
Do you remember in 2006, I came on to take a penalty?
Yeah.
Did you?
You said to me when I walked up, "Are you sure you want it?" And I was thinking, fucking, there's no reason being brought on. Thanks,
How long
guys.
did you play?
I remember 1 minute.
1 minute.
But you also
did you
did
touch the ball?
But you also-
Did you score?
No,
No, you missed.
I missed.
Yeah, but
I always remember you saying to me, "Are you sure you want
Jill,
this?"
do you know something? Do you know why I did that? I will have done that. I disagreed with the principle of bringing a player
Yeah,
on
I
for 30 seconds and then saying your first kick is a penalty. In the big...
So much pressure.
You're not into the game. You're not warmed up.
No.
You're not like you had a kick of a ball. You've not kicked a ball, by the way, probably for an hour and a half before that. And you've come on for a kick after not having kicked a ball for an hour and a half and expected to knock it.
I knocked the first one in. That was all right. And I had to take it again.
But the penalties is...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ran up to
retake
the referee went, "No, take it again." He hadn't blew his whistle.
The penalties is a massive thing like that, though. Like, back, say, then, because I know how much prep we did on penalties. Like, it used to blow my mind how much we used to do right at the end. And I was like, surely it just goes on, are you having a good game? Confidence. I think that's a massive thing. But did you do a lot of prep work in tournaments? Or was it just like, I'll go and take some penalties at the end?
We tried everything. So I'm just going to go to the Anthony Gordon interview, because he told me what Gareth does. So he pulls 3 players at the end of practice, takes them to a quiet area. They have a penalty and they take 3 each. They have to pick a side, they have to decide where it's going to go, and that's what they do. And then they monitor, they do 3 different players, and they don't take like a big group. So what we did, and different things, you'd have like 10 players in one half, 10 players in the other. When we worked out that we had to practice them at one, 10 players were there queuing up, 10 players were here queuing up, and then you basically all take them. If you remember in that tournament, Carragher, so what Sven, I think, and Steve McLaren did with that tournament, they took all players in the squad took penalties in each half, and then whoever had the most penalty successes would be the ones that would be chosen as being the best penalty takers for the game. And
So that's why I was brought on.
That's why he was brought on.
I didn't miss one.
Yeah.
Insane. But I used to say it was Paul Robinson in goal.
No, but you know what I mean? It's like, so we did practice. We went through a phase of not. Then we went through a phase of some did, some didn't. Then we went through a phase of everyone does it and it's a competition and you measure it.
Yeah.
And then I just thought interesting listening to Anthony Gordon last week talk about how Gareth, because he has had some success with it, just taking 3 players in a sort of like a quite sort of concentrated way.
Yeah.
And sort of making them focus and making them sort of do it properly. Because you think about it, that thing we always say, whatever happens in training comes out in games.
Yeah.
If there's 10 of you there and you're queuing up, you're having a laugh.
Turns into a bit of a laugh,
Yeah.
You need to get into
But
that
can you
place.
replicate it even there when you say go into a quiet part of the pitch? It's not quiet, is it?
About Jamie, you saying that to Jamie, what do you think, when he said that to you about you want to take it and that, because he's obviously Man United, you're Liverpool and everything, how did you take it? What was your relationship like when you were in the squad?
I would have been with him at that point in terms of looking. I would have been, and he would have been looking after me. But I would have been at that point. That would have been delivered in a way. Was come on, if you don't worry, you know what I mean. I'll go or someone else. You know what I mean. It probably wasn't the best message to send to him before he walked up. Thinking about it now, but it was done in the right spirit. It wasn't like I'm going to stick.
It didn't affect me.
In the right spirit,
no. But I mean, I understood. He was probably thinking, you know, you've just come on it, and he's probably thinking, you're a bit like me. You're a defence. He probably thought, I can't believe you've come on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's.
And I didn't know that before the game. I wasn't told before the game.
To be fair, Roy,
it was like there was 30 seconds.
Because you had a good technique.
I was never asked to take one. I was never put up to take one. And I always thought about penalties. I never find myself in a game in front of goal at all, ever, in training even. Because in training, I played right back. I didn't go and sort of wander up front and sort of having a bit of a kick around.
Yeah.
So I never found myself in front of goal hardly, you know what I mean? Yeah. So this idea that in the highest pressurised situation, you would be the right person to be in front of goal and take it. Mm-hmm. But then I look back now and I think, actually, was it about seniority? Was it about leadership? Is penalties actually not about being able to kick the ball? Is it about something else? do you know what I mean? I don't know.
But you would have had I wouldn't have seen you walking up at a penalty shoot and go, I'm not sure about that, because you would have had a decent technique.
Yeah.
Did you take penalties?
Yeah. I took a couple, over the years, right?
Yeah. You know, when you said about breaking into England, and obviously you took Warren Barton's place in that situation, how was he with you? Because, you know, sometimes when you have like an older player, and was that different at club to country? When you say about Parker? Yeah,
do you know when you say about luck, sometimes you do have luck, and the luck I had was that Warren Barton obviously didn't take his chance that day, but Paul Parker had a really bad ankle injury. Rob Jones had really bad injuries with Liverpool. Lee was probably sort of getting a bit older at Arsenal. So all the right backs that sort of existed were almost like fell away through injury or from some other reason. So a gap opened up.
Yeah.
And do you know something? I felt like even for my club and for my country, I didn't really feel like I had competition.
Right.
For probably, but that didn't make me let up in any way, shape or form. But I didn't really feel like
you still have to take them chances, though.
Yeah, but I didn't really feel like I had competition for like 10 years, really. I think Micah came in towards the end of my career, and that was a situation where he thought, oh, he's talented, he's got something, you know what I mean? But
who?
I've got a completely question because it's a really good one. I quite like this one. It says, if Valencia wasn't your first managerial job, would you be a manager now? As in, you know, a championship job, or would you be a manager now, do you think? Because of that
I took the Valencia job, and the more I think about it, purely because of the fact that I knew the owner, and I felt like I was loyal to him, and I felt like I owed him something because he believed in me in terms of the businesses and stuff. But I'd been asked to go to Middlesbrough for an interview. Newcastle had asked to speak to me. And a couple of other clubs, Derby, I think, had asked to speak to me, all in that previous 3 years when I was on Sky, and I'd said no to everyone because it wasn't what I wanted to be. So I'd started my businesses, I'd started my media career, I didn't want to be a coach. I'd said no to Newcastle in a conversation. Wow. I've never said this publicly. It was actually someone from Sky who knew a contact at Newcastle, said, look, they want to speak to you. Someone from Sky contacted me about Middlesbrough as well, believe it or not, and said, look, they want to have a conversation with you, which I'm not saying that would have got me the job, but it could have got me the job. They were obviously speaking to me. I was on television. I was doing quite well when I came out of football in those first 2 years on television, I knew every player. I felt like I knew the game inside out, and felt like I could probably come across as though I could communicate the game, which different now 10 years out when you've distanced yourself from the game a little bit and you're disconnected. But I didn't want to be a manager. I didn't want to be a coach. I genuinely didn't. But then I said no to Peter the first time, and then he just said, look, I'd really like you to do it for me. I don't want to bring a manager in now because I know that they'll want to sign players in the January transfer window. I went in December. They'll want to, and I just need to get to the end of the season. And he said, just do it for me for 5 months. So I went in on a 5-month contract and didn't even last the 5 months because it became impossible for him, for me, for everyone. It was.
Yeah.
Had you done your coaching badges then? Had your badges? No.
So I did my B licence with you, which was when I was 31. Yeah. I did my A licence at 34, whilst I was still at United. You'll have obviously left at that point. I did my pro licence when I was 37, 38. Right. Okay. I was fully qualified. Right. Yeah. So I had the pro licence to go on any bench I wanted to in Europe. Right. And to be fair, I was always like, I said to you, I said, look, you never know what's going to happen. Do your B licence, your A licence, and your pro licence. It'll actually help you with your punditry. And at the time, it does for a period because you're in that pro licence. You're with 20 other managers, coaches, and you're talking about the game.
But the reason I asked that question because you've done all the coaching courses, but that then gives you a feeling whether you want to go into it or not.
But right, I didn't want to go into it. I didn't, because I really was enjoying the media side, and I was enjoying. And you know something, you can't be arrogant enough, I don't think, to think that you're going to be a good coach if you're not thinking about coaching every single day of the week, which I wasn't.
Yeah.
And
do you still think about the Valencia? Do you think about it though? Like, I just shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done.
No. I think the lessons from it, the learnings from it, like, I think were massive for me about saying no. I mean, you were probably the first, but he used to say to us in the dressing room, "No is a sentence." Do you know what I mean?
He still says.
Honestly, it's one of the things I remember
all
him
the
saying.
time.
No is a sentence, and to be fair, no. I think around that time I said yes to a couple of things that came my way, and the one with Peter was purely around sort of just because of what I said before.
How long were you in Valencia, Gary, where you thought, was it quickly where you felt, I'm not feeling it? Listen, huge problems with the team, language, the whole, with your staff. Yeah. But when did you, because it's hard when you're a manager, you sit there going, it's not happening.
Do you know?
Was it quickly? Or?
There's a point I remember looking in my mirror in the morning thinking I look ill. I remember that.
After how long were you there?
I'd say probably that was February, probably 2 or 3 months. I'm thinking I'm ill. I literally looked to myself and thought, oh my God. But I remember we played 3 times against Bilbao in the Europa League quarter-final and a league game, and Valverde was the coach. And I remember him stood there. He'd played a different system than I thought he would, and then he changed during the game. And I remember thinking, I am nowhere near that.
Levels.
Honestly, and I remember that time thinking Valverde. You think about a coach on the job, because you know what, I blew my mind.
But you weren't expected to be on his level.
No, but what I'm saying to you is I felt like almost like
Inferior.
massively inferior. And Roy, you know something? I was watching the game. I believe I can see a game from a gantry, and I can see everything that's going on, and there's no one can get much past us. But you put yourself down, stood on the touchline, and see a game where all you see is legs, or you're down in a bench and all you see is legs. And how you think of the game tactically, or how they spot things, I have no idea. Because I just remember thinking, what's actually going on out there? You know what I mean? Did you feel like that?
But that happens to great managers as well. There's something going on in the game, and you're just thinking,
what's going on?
We've got to hang in here.
They have people up there now, though, don't they? Like
Valverde was definitely the first time I thought, oh my God, I'm miles off this. And then I coached against Simeone. I felt as though that day he was beating me up. He was beating me. His mannerisms, his energy down the touchline, intimidating.
These are great coaches, Gary. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. But I could feel that. I could feel that.
But you're still a young coach.
He's there.
Yeah.
I was feeling that, and then
he's put himself in that situation. And when you listen to it,
but they're not all as good as them coaches.
Yeah, but he's put himself in a situation that deep down he's doing a favour for someone.
I know.
Do you know the other one was Enrique, the 7-0.
Not going to be there quickly.
That night it was 7-0. It was the Copa del Rey. Not that important a competition to Barcelona. So they're 4-0 up, 5-0 up. And he didn't sub Neymar, Messi or Suarez. And he was stood there, just what he did at the end of the game. So Enrique, and I watched him last week actually in the Barcelona game, and I was looking at him thinking, I can see why you're going to get Paris Saint-Germain over the line maybe. That night, at the end of the game, I went up to shake his hand, he walked straight past me, ignored me, and I thought, you fucker.
he didn't shake your hand.
No.
Why?
So why do you think he's...
But I just thought, you know something, he's almost like...
Nastiness?
He's nastiness, that horribleness. I thought, you know, so he's almost like saying, go home, little boy. I felt like that's what he was sort of, the message he was sending to me.
But you still have that respect at the end, yeah?
But do you know who's good to me? Rafa Benitez was good to me. We played Real Madrid. He was under pressure at the time there, but after the game he came and shook me hand. He obviously been at Valencia, and he was actually very good with me. He actually gave me probably 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You think of sort of the job Gareth Southgate's done now, and it wasn't like he had he almost fell into the England job, didn't he? I always think if Valencia had gone well, I think you'd have had a great opportunity. Because you were involved with England at the time. You were assistant manager to Roy Hodgson. Roy loses his job. I know you're part of that regime, but if Valencia goes well, and then you're involved with England...
I've never said this publicly, but I remember getting the job in Valencia in the December, and Dan Ashworth rang me and said, this is the perfect move for you to be on that next step for when Roy decides that he doesn't want to be here to take over. I've never said that.
Wow.
And he said, and obviously he could never say that, 3 months in, 4 months in, because it went so badly.
Yes.
But he got a call and said, this is exactly what, we wanted. We wanted you to get a number 1 job. And
Yeah.
I always remember him making that call to me saying, this is the perfect thing for you. And you're absolutely right. In my mind, there's part of me, I took the job for Peter, obviously, but in the back of your mind also, you're thinking, go there, win 7 or 8 games, get Valencia up the league, and by the way, you could be manager anywhere then. Your life turns in a different way for a reason, but when I look back, it was right that I failed.
Yeah.
Because I didn't put the work in. All the things I believe in my life, the obsession about work ethic, being dedicated to something, I needed to fail to give myself a big slap round the face and say, get back down.
But you tried. You deserve credit for that as well, because people always go, well, why did you take that? You have to be brave sometimes. That's courage comes into it. Because if you think you're smart enough to pick every job that's ideal for you,
so this is why I was just going to say. So managerial stuff. So then you go into the owner, Salford.
Yeah.
What? Like 10 years now. I know. Are you still involved? You kind of got a little bit of involvement.
No, I'm obviously still an owner, but the lads now are obviously operational in the club. I've not been operational.
How's that towards management? Like the management we just heard out.
I felt massive pressure at games. You'll have seen it. Obviously, you come to a lot of Salford games. Less so now, because when you're not making the decisions every single day that are responsible for spending the money or bringing the players in or bringing the managers in or sacking the managers, whatever it might be, you feel that, obviously, I watch every single Salford game, usually by link, but generally, if I'm not in the stadium by link, I watch every game. I don't feel the same, because I'm not making the decisions, you feel a bit more disconnected from it. But I still want them to obviously desperately win every single week. But for them for 8 years, I actually loved it. I loved it. But you know something? After 3 years of not getting promoted, for the first 5 years, so first 6 years we won 4 promotions, and we won an EFL trophy at Wembley. So that was the first 6 years, and then we had 3 years where we didn't get promoted. The board, Peter, the rest of the lads met and said, look, Gary's part-time here, he's doing it 2 days a week, and actually we're not succeeding, we've hit a wall. And they actually, in some ways, in the right way, and I got to the conclusion as well, I've had my chance here. I've got 3 goals at League Two. Yeah. But I'd on television spoken about, Ed Woodward. I'd spoken about other people at football clubs. If you get given 3 or 4 years, 5 years as an owner, and you're not delivering results, or a CEO, you're probably not going to deliver them. I mean, so I think they were right to sort of move me into that director role again. They obviously, the lads take over. They're in there every single day. They have their 3, 4, 5 years to have a go. So it's probably right in terms of doing it, you know what I mean? The first 5, 6 years I was successful.
The things you used to say on TV or something, or he'd say on Twitter and then I'd always save them. and then he'd sack a manager and I'd just retweet something. Every manager deserves 3 years. He's got to have 3 years.
I'm going to put my defence up now of my record.
Oh, right? You say it every time.
So basically...
I sacked this one then.
No. The first managers we appointed were there for 3.5 years, and the next managers we had, Graham Alexander, were 2 years... 2 years and a quarter. So we had like 2 managers in like 6 seasons, basically. Mm-hmm. And then what happened was, I sacked Graham. Stupid thing to do as an owner. You either sack them at the end of a season or you let them have the following season. Don't basically say, look, let's give him 3 months at the start of next season, because he's managed that transfer window. He's met all the players that are coming in. He's brought those players in, and then you sack them, and those players that he's brought in think, God, what's going on here? It's a bit of a car crash. This, you just signed me. So I'd never done that before. Sacked a manager at 3 months into the season. In fact, it wasn't even 3 months into the season, probably about a month or so into the season. And thought, right, we need to go back to getting someone a bit gritty and a bit sort of feisty. And we appointed Richie Wellings. And to be fair, Richie had been successful before and after Salford, so, no problem there. But it was just a disaster. To the point when I sacked Richie and I sat down with him, I went in to sit down with him and say to him, look, Richie, this is just not working. He said, to be honest with you, Gary, I'm not enjoying it either. I said, I agree. It wasn't working for either of us. It just wasn't right. So that then meant I was sacking 2 managers in a season. Jesus. And I was appointing Gary Bowyer then as obviously like sort of interim manager. So you end up with 3 managers in a season, but it comes from nowhere. It punches you in the face, right between the eyes, because you think you're sensible, you think you've got everything under control. You've had 2 managers in 6 years, but all of a sudden you make one bad decision and it all goes bang.
Yeah.
And you just think, hang on a minute, and now I'm chasing myself for the next 2 or 3 years. All of a sudden you've got a reputation as a club that sack managers, you've got a reputation, and you don't think that way, you know what I mean? So that's what happened with that. the first one was a bad decision, but it not working with Richie was the one that really cost us, really.
Right.
Did you really enjoy that? Like, how did you enjoy that compared to like the punditry and everything you've done like since football?
Because I think with the
like,
punditry,
what's your favourite thing?
You came with the punditry, and you went in hard. I think Jamie came in after as well. You lot, for me, took it somewhere else with the analytical side of it and the real deep stuff.
I think basically, and I knew this would happen. Just it happens to everybody. Like for 3 or 4 years, when I was coach with England, and I'd just come out of the game, and I knew every player. I was right at the top of my sort of game there in terms of detail and understanding the game. And even like, I always remember the first time I ever heard, do you know when you say players jump to press?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd never heard that as a football player at United, jump to press.
Yeah.
But Jordan started talking to me about what Brendan Rodgers and Klopp were talking about, jumping to press and things. So I was still hearing this sort of like...
Terminology,
the terminology and the developments within the dressing room. I was hearing it live, you know what I mean? So I was getting like a real insight, and your punditry then becomes better for it. And then I realised that it needed to sort of like, you come out of England and you're not in the dressing room, you're not in the game, and you start to become a little bit less, I suppose, intelligent around the tactics and the terminology, and then you sort of start to become a bit more, high level, to the point now whereby I'm doing commentary and I'll speak about things, but I wouldn't want to go in, you're into the tactics, you watch hours and hours of sort of like the games and you wind it back and you're on Y Scout. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not me, it's not my type, it's not where I'm at. So the first few years I felt like I was really in the detail of it.
Can I just go back to the English stuff quickly? So when you said you were at Valencia, you were on the sideline, you thought you were out of your depth.
Yeah.
Against, to be fair, great managers and brilliant teams. So when you were walking with Roy, were you more relaxed going, I could just, Roy's doing all that type of thing, yeah?
There's 2 things. One is, I mean, you know this, you've been an assistant, being the man who makes the decision, the difference between that, the press conferences. You got to remember, before Friday, Saturday after a game, Tuesday before the Wednesday after a game, Friday again before the Saturday. You use 6 press conferences a week. And that...
6?
And if you're losing, oh my God, I mean, it's...
So you were a lot more comfortable letting Roy be the manager, and you were like...
With Roy, my role was really clear, and it suited me perfectly. And I think that I still justify to this day that I was actually probably the right person to do that job for Roy. One, I could connect to the dressing room because I was younger, but I was actually doing the pre and post match videos and delivering them for Roy. So I was doing that on Sky in Monday Night Football. So I would basically watch let's say we're playing Slovenia, I'd watch 6 to 8 Slovenia tapes, build the pre-match sort of, if you like, video of Slovenia, deliver that to the players, obviously show it to Roy and talk to him about sort of the plan. And then I would then watch the game back straight after the game. I'd get on a bike after an England game at Wembley, straight back to the Grove. I'd watch the game there and then with the analyst. We'd clip it up and we'd have it ready to show the players. Because in international football, you've only got like Saturday to Tuesday or whatever it might be. You've got to get that information into them on the game that you've played before, the morning after, or else they're thinking about the next game. So we would show it to them at 10 o'clock that morning before they went out and did the warm-up. And I would basically do the Slovenia post-match based on our principles of what we were actually looking to do pre-match. So I'd measure it against what we were looking to do pre-match. And I did that. I'd do the odd little bit of possession where me and Ray would take the players off. That was it. That was my role. And to support Roy, obviously. But Roy did all the coaching. Ray did a bit, but Roy did every tactical main session. That was Roy. Roy was a coach. Roy delivered really good sessions, and that's what he did.
Was Phil coaching in Valencia with you? Because I remember we went on a training camp to Valencia, and he turned up. I wonder if he was like, please get us out of this job, because he was our manager after that.
When I look back now, I've never spoke to Phil about this, really. Phil was over there with Nuno. Nuno had asked him to go over and be a coach there. I think Phil had gone over to do like a few weeks there, just watching him, and they really got on. He worked with him. And I think Nuno maybe still thinks this day that sort of like Phil or me were... Honestly, there was no sort of like plan to get Nuno out of Valencia. He was obviously struggling at the time anyway. But I think when I went over there and got the top job and Phil was already there, it wasn't right, you know what I mean? But Peter had asked me to do it, and Phil was obsessed with coaching and loved coaching. But I think Peter just saw me as being someone who maybe could sort of handle the media more, or maybe sort of front it a bit more, you know what I mean?
I've got a community question involving Phil, and it says, did you and Phil properly fall out to any? Did you fall out?
Never. Do you know something? I would never fall out with my brother. Never. I would never fall out with my brother's children. I would never fall out with my sister or my sister's children. I couldn't live my life like that. There's no, I say, what could they do that would make me feel like that? But do you know what I mean? The idea, I've got to be bigger than that. I've got to be bigger than that. Right. I can't, you know. But my dad had a fallout with someone in my family when I was younger for about a year or two, and it has a big impact on a family. Yeah. And I always remember thinking that I couldn't see, you know, it was other members of my family that were like my friends in the family because of my dad's fallout with, and you think that, I mean, it happens, and so people watching you, but go and make up.
Yeah.
You know, go and make up, not because you need to make up with that person, it's because the impact you'll make the people, your kids' lives, your cousins' lives, your uncles' lives.
The ripple effect.
It's the ripple effect through your family is devastating. So I would never fall out with my brother. It's impossible for me to fall out with my brother. I might disagree with him on something, but impossible.
On the Ole episode, I remember you said about after the trouble, you'd never done a pull-up. You couldn't do one pull-up.
No. Just something, I was in the gym yesterday morning, right?
Try again.
No word of a lie. So they went to do the pull-ups, and do you know where they put the elastic bands in? Yeah. Just touch them round so that you get the help. Yeah. I'm still with the elastic bands, right? You're getting pulled up, you know what I mean? I don't know what it is.
I'll tell you what he can do.
What,
this is unbelievable.
Go on.
Remember that night out we went on with Sky? So...
burpees.
Oh, my God. And to this day, it's the biggest regret in my life I didn't film it. 3 a.m, 2 years ago, we started the season, bit of a drink. We come out, me and him are in the same hotel. This lad ends up like, you know, you walk on the street.
Challenging me.
Challenge him. He said, come on. So he said, come on then. So the two of them are doing burpees at 2 a.m. in the streets of London.
How many?
And they just do, we've had a few bevies.
You have to show us
You
again.
ended up beating him, didn't you? Did you beat him?
Joseph,
I don't know.
And I didn't film it. I didn't film it.
I'm 15. I'm the oldest person in the gym that I go to, right? But do you know what I love the idea of? Do you know, young people inspire you.
Yeah.
And you think you see like a 25... Do you know what really inspires me in the morning? Is that like a 23-year-old or a 26-year-old, or I don't know how old they are, but they're younger than me. I've got up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym at 6 and train, and that really makes me feel like, I can live off that, you know what I mean? I buzz off that a little bit.
Do you know what a burpee is?
I don't. Can you show us a burpee?
You know what a burpee is?
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't.
You're going to do a burpee, Gal, or not? Do a quick burpee.
Jump up.
Yeah, do a quick burpee, Gal. Can you see him? Can you get Gary doing his burpees?
Don't forget he was drunk.
And he was pissed at the time, so... Go on, Gal.
So basically, this fit lad, he's probably about 30, and I'm like, I'll do you at burpees. I will. And Joe something, I will keep going till I do you at burpees.
Good. Yes.
That's good.
Oh, look at that. Yes, Gal. I tell you what, that's good.
We could join him.
Great form.
Yeah, we get it.
Okay, so now that you can do that, can we bring in the things? Because we want to see.
Oh, shit.
Is this to try and do a pull-up?
Watch out, don't let it, anyway. We think that you've got to have a go at trying to see if you
Why
can do
don't
one.
these guys show us how many they can do first?
Honestly, I've got... My arms are...
No, Gal, I
Steve.
think you could...
Who's going to hold
Steve,
it,
are
man?
you going to have a
Don't
go?
worry about it.
You have to put a box underneath it.
Steve, show us how it's done.
Jesus.
He's got muscles.
Steve,
Come on,
easy.
Steve, lad.
2 arms or one?
Oh,
Two.
look at that.
Wow, Steve. Steve!
Get away.
Gal.
I can't do anything.
Go on, Gal, let's see. I'm going to try one.
Take your time. Take your time.
Take time, Gal. Just take...
Come on, Gaz.
Another Gal, go on, free, Gal, don't stop, Gal. Oh, Jamie, go on, Jamie. You look amazing.
can't do them.
You look amazing, Jamie. Come on, man. Come on, Jamie. I'll do what you do. You got to try one. You have to. We have to.
I actually can't do
I
one.
said you all right.
James, go on. I don't know if I could do one.
I can't do one.
Yes.
Easy.
Oh, he
Yes.
trains
Again,
every day.
Gal.
Look,
Five.
one
Gal.
arm. You one arm.
Easy.
Let him extend down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not extending. Yeah, but he's still done enough there. Right, come on.
No
Gal.
chance.
Roy, come on.
No, you go.
Jesus, I can't even reach it.
I've never
Jill,
done
you
a
got to do
I've
one.
never done
Jill's
a pull-up.
majorly fit.
No, I've got too longer arms. Oh, wow, well done.
That's good. I like it.
My
can't
arms
do
are
that.
too
I've got too
long.
much gear
No,
on.
honestly, I can't
Jill,
do
you
them.
can't do that, Jill.
No,
So when you said about the test at City, they used to leave me hanging there.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to Stick to Football. And I guess Gary Neville. What about that? Our man. Gal, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Well
Can
done.
I just say, you raised the bar with that episode.
Well done.
Gal, that's really good. I saw your face go somewhere else.
Oh, you didn't know.
How hard is that?
I
Whose idea was that?
want to keep chatting to Gary. He's the best guy.
Gal, honestly, Gal, we need to know.
Is it best guess? You don't have to pay him.
Yeah.
He is paying himself.
Gal, you know
paying himself
what?
double.
The Valencia and you doing that really surprised me with your character to do something to please someone like that. When it's so detrimental in the end to what's happening, even though you've probably learned a lot from the experience. But like, it really seems like a character.
In the back of your mind, you're still going over there thinking,
So you imagine,
do it.
So Wrighty, think about it. I'll go into more detail with it. I finished playing football at 36, right? I get 2 pieces of land in Manchester, and some of the lads are willing to put in some money with me, but we'll get to half of it, and you need someone to believe in you to put extra money in, or else you have to lose the land, you don't build it.
Right.
One of them was the hotel across from Old Trafford, and the club were at the time saying, I don't think they'll do it, and we won't get the money.
And you got it.
And to be fair, Peter believed in us. He put money into us and let us run the projects, you know what I mean? He let us do.
Right.
And when someone puts money into it, it's a massive responsibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If someone gives you their money, it's a massive responsibility to be able to look after it, to make sure it's used well and make sure that you give them the money back. And so he'd give me a start in my life in terms of business, you know what I mean? He'd almost like sort of...
You felt like you owed him, Gal.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that I think that naturally all of us would do for people who've sort of helped us, you know what I mean? You would try and do that thing for them.
And plus, now what Roy, it's like Roy's interested what Roy says about you feel like you're going to make a success of it.
But right, he never asked me for anything.
Wow.
And never has. He asked me one thing, would you go over for him? Right. I knew it wasn't right, but I thought, how can I say no to him for when he's believed in me, you know what I mean?
But sometimes it's good to regret things you've done instead of, you could be sitting here going, I could have gone to Valencia and I left it go. At least you win for it.
I
loved Valencia, by the way. The place, the
it's
weather,
lovely, isn't it?
the city, honestly.
We'd have to take a trip back there.
Let's go back. Let's go.
Did he say if you didn't go? Did he say if you didn't go, he was going to knock your hotel down?
No. There's no like ultimatum, or he wasn't pressurising me or anything like that. He just said, Gary, I'd really like you to do it for me. And you know, that's. I think I felt like I owed him, and I think I did. And you know what I mean? I think it was the right thing to do for that reason, but wrong football reasons maybe, or.
Yeah. That was where we first met Phil, though, you know.
Valencia.
When we were on a training camp, and then he was the manager after that tournament.
Yeah.
There you go.
Networking.
He was like, get us out.
Gal, that was really interesting.
But and do you know what? Listen, we go back to it without getting. I don't want to embarrass you. You were great teammates. You and Phil. You're really good people, good solid people.
Love the Chuckle Brother.
Yeah. No. Chuckle Brother.
I'm proud of my brother.
I am being
my
nice.
Top of good.
My brother and sister.
Good background, good family.
Great guy.
Yeah.
But my brother and
Good lad.
sister now. So my sister, first ever England coach to ever win a gold medal in a tournament. So like achieved everything in netball. Amazing. But the best league in the world's in Australia. So basically she says, I'll go over for 6 months and that's it. But then she goes back over now for 2 years.
Wow.
So she's over in Australia for 2 years. Phil's over in Portland coaching. And I think, geez, one's in Australia, one's in Portland coaching. They've really pushed themselves out of their comfort zones to be actually coaches in places of the world. If you said to me tomorrow, move to Portland, I'd say, not happening.
Yeah.
If you said to me tomorrow, move to Melbourne, beautiful place, probably, that's
But
not
how
me.
amazing stuff like all he used to do, because I mean, honestly, it is inspiring that way, you know. Get into, but you know, you only live once, to have all those experiences and do things. And I always sort of say that to my own kids, and you know, have a life, what a story it is to tell. You know, talking about we've spoke about Valencia. Okay, didn't go well. We've got a story to tell. You know, players you met, their owners, been on the side of the pitch with Simeone. You know, not everything in your life works, does it, or goes the way you want. But you've got to. I mean, what you and your
they must be so proud. Yeah.
What you and your family have done.
I remember Jill actually when Phil first rang me to say he was going to take the England women's team. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That was, I mean, at the time it was a massive shock. It was. I mean, for you probably as well.
It was for us.
It was a massive shock. I went, Phil, I'm not sure about this.
Why?
You've just left. Oh, you just left United, and I thought, you know, what's your ambition? What do you want to be? So I want to be a number one. You know, I want to be a number one somewhere, and I want to go. And I just thought, he would get criticised heavily. I thought he would. I didn't know how it would work for him. I didn't know how strong he was in his depth of knowledge of the players that he was going to about to obviously take over. You think about it. Would I take a job in
Spain?
No.
Hey, come on,
I always say this, right? I always say this, right? I can't tell you about the Championship or if you asked me to be a pundit or an analyst on League One or the Championship, I wouldn't take that job. I don't know anything about League One or the Championship. League Two. I know quite a bit about League Two because of Salford. But I don't know anything about League One. I don't know anything about the Championship, so I won't be a pundit on that game. So obviously, I just thought it was a big risk for them.
Yeah.
I thought it was a big risk for Phil. And I just, but then he said, no, I'm going for it. His determination, I'm going to do it. And I thought, okay, well done to you, you know what I mean?
But he just treated it as football, and that's like Phil, Nick Cushion, who's at New York now, like that's what they said the first thing when they come in. Look, it's women's football, men's football, it's just football. And I think when I was at Everton and Phil was there, had a few conversations with him, and obviously I think Everton women's team were like part-time, and he would always fight for us and say, no, I can sort out the training times, you know, just things he didn't have to do. So, yeah, he was great. And I loved him as a manager, especially being an older player. He knew how to, like, manage us, and if we had fitness tests and he'd say to like me and Kaz, look, I know you can run, there's no point you doing this fitness test and then missing 2 days on the grass. Like, he just got it. So, yeah, great guy.
Yeah.
Who motivates the motivator?
Tune to the game.
Yeah.
I can't picture Phil coming in saying that. Is that his energy?
He could bollock us
Then we
as
say,
well,
get off
though.
Phil. Let him in.
He could bollock us as well. I think the thing with Phil was when he was disappointed, he showed
Are we off
disappointment,
now? Have we done?
and then you felt a bit like...
Right, that's it, right.
Oh.
Right, thank you very much for joining us. Don't stick to football. We'll see you again soon. Right, come on, let's go.
Hold on. Well done, everyone.
Go. I really love that.
Yeah, well done.
Can we do the picture with his guest or what?
Can we, before I have Gary just hanging off?
Yeah, let's do that.
Come on. Wait for Jamie, please.
I'll go.
Go on. Have you got it?
Jill, get in. He's actually hanging. How hard is it though? Try one. Just try one.
I don't know. Honestly.
Just try one.
I can't do them.
No,
I literally
Try
can't do
one. Just try one.
You could do them.
Honestly, I haven't even got. If I hadn't got pressure, I couldn't even get. It's not under pressure.
Do you remember Yorkie? Do you know who was brilliant at Yorkie used to do it? But he should do.
Could he do like and do the back? I bet he does them ones where he pulls it up here
the back
and then goes on that bit. You know.
Yeah, but some people are just naturally good at it. No, I can't. Honestly,
Jill's too tall.
James, can you do that one where you pull it and then you go up on it like that one?
Come on, who's having a go at the
Where's
staff?
my guy? Where's
I need the
Steve?
staff. Come on,
Where's
hey.
Steve, our guy?
Ladies first. Well, I lift you. Go on, I lift you.
Roy, you're not going to do one?
No.